It's ranking season. It's already started. I can't believe we're here, Anthony, but it is indeed ranking season.
Them lists, baby.
It's list season. And, now that kind of things, dust has settled, across the NFL landscape, quarterbacks tends to be where everybody starts. And I have seen two lists, or one, the Athletic Football Show did like a very interesting draft, which had a contract element attached to it. So for them, it was like, if you're going to start a team from scratch, which quarterback would you want for the next 3 years? Their contract is a part of it. And I was like, that's a cool exercise. And their results were pretty interesting. And the guy that I thought was most interesting on that list was Dak Prescott at number 6. Well, today, I'm trying to find it here. You sent it to me. There we go. Today, Bleacher Report put out their list. And this is from, let's see, we want NFL quarterback rankings from Brad Gagnon of Bleacher Report. And this is using the eyeball test along with a wide array of common, rate-based, and advanced statistics from Pro Football Reference and StatHead. Here's how we view the NFL's top 12 quarterbacks as the next phase of the 2024 offseason gets underway. Okay? Here's their top 12. They've got Justin Herbert 12th, which feels objectively absurd. Athletic Football Show had him 4th, I believe, behind Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar. I don't know that I have him either place, but I would have him much closer to 4th than I would 12th.
Yes.
Now, it also depends on who you're talking about for this year or for the next 3 years, because number 11 is Matthew Stafford. If it's the next 3 years, that's probably closer to correct. If it's this year, he might be in my top 5. People sleep on how good Stafford still is. Number 10, Tua, did not go in the Athletics draft, who went to 15. 10 here. Number 9, Burrow, who went 8 in the Athletics draft, if I'm remembering correctly, goes 9 here. 8, Goff, who didn't go in the Athletics draft, which was surprising to me. Number 8 here. Stroud, who went 4th or 5th. I think he went 5th. I think he did go behind Herbert, but maybe Herbert I think Herbert went 4. Stroud goes 7 here. Purdy 6 did not go in the Athletics draft. Hurts 5 went 15th in the Athletics draft. Prescott 4 went 6 in the Athletic draft. Allen 3 went 2 in the Athletic drafts. Lamar went 3. Here he's 2. And Mahomes is the one constant. He's obviously number 1. Now, this highlights, I think, the trouble in evaluating quarterbacks, which is where I think the actual discussion comes in a place that's interesting, which is people have a really hard time separating quarterback from situation. Because if I say, who's going to have the best season in 2024, and you get 15 picks, there's no way Tua Tagovailoa is not in that 15. But he's got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and his play caller's Mike McDaniel. If you tell me Dak Prescott does he subbed out for Tua Tagovailoa, who has a better year? Dak in Miami or Tua in Miami? And even the fact that that is a hard discussion to have highlights the issue. Because realistically, it's not that hard. Dak's the correct answer. But we convince ourselves because Tua's such a great fit for Miami. Oh, but Tua's got the quick release. Like, he's a great ball handler. He does all the stuff that Mike wants him to do. It's like, yeah, and Dak could do all that and more. And he's got a better arm. Like, that's why I think this gets so hard. And why I think while taking like Dak over Joe Burrow feels insane, and frankly I still think is insane, that's what I'm having a hard time talking myself into. I listened to like Derek Classenberry on the Athletics show talk about Dak having kind of the Peyton Manning playbook available, where like Peyton had the whole playbook available at the line. Like they trust Dak to do that stuff. And he does it at an extraordinarily high level. And by the way, Dak Prescott's been the quarterback on a 12-win team 3 years in a row. I know the playoff stuff has been ugly, but that dude's a damn good quarterback. But it just feels crazy because like Burrow's such a baller, but then you're like, oh well, who's got a better arm? Well, Dak's actually got a better arm. Burrow's touch is crazy, but arm strength, arm talent, Dak's got a better one. Who's been more durable? Dak. Who has a bigger mental load? Well, Dak and Burrow are actually pretty close. Burrow's actually a guy who has a lot of that stuff. Who throws the ball better over the middle of the field, like Dak does. Like the numbers just are what they are. And again, like that's the hard part about the situation thing. Because with Burrow, it's a little bit of what we talked about with Jaden at LSU. He throws outside all the time. Yeah, of course he throws outside all the time. You seen what he's got outside? But it's how they run their offense. And the question is, if you're starting from scratch, who would you rather have? And could Burrow do the stuff that Dak does because Dak doesn't have as much around him? And what would that look like? Yeah, it made you think way more than you thought you were going to have to think, huh?
It's not even, I mean, you were just talking about teams. You were just talking about teams, right?
Yeah.
Dak has a top 5, top 3 defense at his expense.
That's a great point.
Burrow doesn't have that, and we saw Dak in the playoffs against Green Bay. When the defense isn't playing well and the offense is, doing what they're supposed to do, they end up losing the game.
But also, Dak had really one bad quarter against Green Bay.
And it hurt a lot.
It hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, the turnovers in that game were crazy. But what were Dak's
really that
finals?
First half.
I'm trying to remember. Dak, I think, threw for like 400 yards in that game.
Yeah, because they were down and defense just couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Let's see, game log, Green Bay. They lost that game 48-32. Now, some of that 48, was there 1 or 2 pick sixes? It was not good.
Yeah, he definitely threw. He actually might have thrown 2.
He had 2 picks in the game.
2.
Yeah, so like, yes, the 48 is partly on him, but we know in the second half they couldn't get him the ball back. He threw it 60 times. He still almost completed 70% of his passes. With 2 picks and 60 attempts, he still completed 68.3% of his passes through 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, but they're in prevent defense at that time. Just like when the Colts played the Texans and
but that's kind of the
CJ's numbers were inflated because they're getting blown out already.
But he brought them back. Like, he just kept scoring. I mean, late in that game, I mean, the Cowboys last, like, how many drives was it? Let's see. Let me. Dun, 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 dun. The interception, it was just 1 pick six. Second half of that game, after the last pick six, they brought him back down for a touchdown at the end of the half. Mm-hmm. And then they went field goal, touchdown, turnover on downs, touchdown, turnover on downs, 11-play drive.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty good half of football. So, I also don't want to make this a referendum about Dak on one game.
Yeah.
But, like, the point is, like, if you ask Dak to operate just about anything, he's going to be able to do it. And that's a thing that I don't think we associate with Dak Prescott. And the smartest people that I think talk about the game associate that kind of stuff with Dak Prescott. And that made me open my eyes. I'm like, do we underrate Dak Prescott? And the answer that that's the funny thing, though. If you tell me I can have Prescott or Burrow, even with all of the things I just said, I'd probably still take Burrow. The only concern I have is injury.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier, though, when you have a great offensive line in front of you. Burrow has never had that.
True.
And that's part of, why he's always banged up. And why Dak, he's afforded to be able to, put up some of the numbers he puts. I'm going Burrow regardless.
I would go Burrow as
Burrow's
well.
in my top 5. I would love for him to, be on the field, stay healthy. And that is a huge part of the risk that you take if you do go Burrow. But what he does at the line, his process, and his ability to make every throw in the man.
But that's the thing. Like, you say he can make every throw in the book. I would tell you that he probably can't.
Okay.
And that's the thing. Is like, but he finds a way to get the ball there.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to do a horse contest between Dak and Burrow, Dak would win. But that's not the job. The job is how do you figure out how to throw with the anticipation and whatever to get the ball there. And Burrow's touch is so immaculate that it's you know. And also, like, his deep ball is so good. Even though the arm talent from a strength, velocity standpoint isn't there, he throws the deep ball so well, a la Jaden Daniels, by the way. Like, very similar profiles as throwers. Like, that creates some defensive schematic advantages because you're so concerned about the deep ball, especially when Jamar Chase is the guy running it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Here's I think, the fun question. Here's where we get real wacky on the phone lines at 301-230-0980. I want either your most overrated or your most underrated quarterback in football. Most overrated or most underrated quarterback in the NFL. 301-230-0980. Your calls. Lord knows where this is going to land. Next.
Hey, this is DA, and you're listening to The Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.